going to be adding a 1U row at the bottom of the case here. Well, I've now had the opportunity to go on a couple vacations with the Suitcase, and it worked out pretty well, but there were a couple of issues that I wanted to address. So the first one is pretty simple, and that is that the hinges are starting to come a little bit loose, particularly on the bottom of the case itself. They're just getting a little wiggly. I'm just going to try some wood glue in the screws, tighten them down both sides, and hopefully that will take care of that. The main issue is that I didn't leave enough height on the inside here for cables. To be able to keep a patch set up and put the case lid back on, it's just a little bit too tall. I want to be able to leave a patch connected and then take it with me somewhere, open it up, and have the patch all set up and ready to go. I'm going to need to cut down each of the corners, here, and here. Drop them down by about an inch, I think would be good. I have the deepest module that I have. It's kind of ridiculous. And I just want to make sure that I don't go so far that this wouldn't fit in here. Another issue I had was that when I was screwing in the modules next to these power units, it kind of hurts because I end up rubbing my nail against this kind of sharp metal edge here, and that's pretty unpleasant. I'm going to see if I can drop the power side down a little bit further, just make a little chisel spot and just kind of drop those down so that they would be at least flush with the rails. So that's what is on the agenda for this next update. And this is where the design of these guys come into play. Just push these back and the rails just come right out. Now I just need to figure out exactly how much lower I want to go. Like I said, about an inch I think will be just fine. Okay, so the brick is 1.5 inches, so an inch would still leave me a 1/2 inch plus a little bit extra. So rather than trying to like measure and make a line across here and all that, I figured it'd just be easier if I just found a scrap piece of wood that's straight. This one is 3/4 of an inch. That's more than enough space. I don't want it too far down because it's going to make it kind of awkward to get to the modules. So I'm just going to use this to make my straight line across all the corners here. That way I have a consistent height that they will all be at. I've made my pencil marks on all the corners, and my plan is to use this guy to cut in. Gives me the most flexibility. It's just going to be hard to keep it flat. That's my main concern. So that's why I've put the lines on all the corners, all the faces of everything, so that I can watch the other side. But I have to keep it level, and yeah, it's going to be tricky. I'm going to try starting this by hand. I've got this scrap piece of one of the tops from here that I just cut off. I got that clamped over here so that I know that this cut is going to be the same height as what I removed from over here. And I'm just going to notch it first just so I have something for the buzz saw thing to get into. It should keep me at approximately the right height. I would do the whole cut with this saw, but I can't because there's nowhere for the saw to go. Well, the posts have been trimmed down, so that just leaves these two side rails here. I need to remove that same depth all the way across on both sides so that the rails can sit on them. I'm going to take the plunge cutter and just kind of nibble across just like this. Just go along here. I try to keep my cut as straight and level as possible as I move along here. I've got this spare piece of plywood here clamped in place. I've got another scrap piece over there to keep from damaging the case on the outside. And then this is my original block that I used to guide me across around all the other corners. I've got that here, and I've moved it along here, just making sure that it is flush all the way across. So I've put in my line with the buzzsaw thing across on both of those rail sides. I'm going to try to chisel out these upper sections. So instead of trying to chisel this out, which I tried for a second, that seemed like a futile effort, I'm just going to try buzzsawing. I took some sandpaper and sanded down the sides and the tops of the new rail guides. Now I just want to do a quick test and just see what my new height is. Is this going to work out? See, and is it level? Well, that looks pretty good. Let me try the long module here. Yep, still have plenty of space down there. And that's actually perfect right there. Yeah, I actually cut down this side a little bit too much. This side's a little tall. The power supply on this side fits fine, but this side is not quite sliding in, so I'm going to have to probably sand this down. And then I want to drop it down a little bit more to make this end up being the same height as the rail itself, so that I don't scrape my fingernail when I'm screwing in the modules. And then one last thing I'm going to be doing is cutting a notch in this post here for the cord to come out. It's not going to live here anymore. It's actually going to live on the outside. The power cord is now fitting inside this channel. Plenty of room for it there. So yeah, this is going to be a 1U row. There's two things that I want to do that's going to take some time to cure. So the last things I'm going to do today is to fill in all these voids inside. And I just want to fill that in with some of my wood filler stuff, and then go back and stain all of this so it's black again. And that'll just disappear everything. Going back to my trusty plastic wood filler. Very easy to work with. This in. The wood filler has dried, so I'm just going to come back with some water and a paper towel and smooth it out. Maybe a little sanding. So I've smoothed over all of the corners. India ink that you can't see the label on anymore. And I'm just going to cover all of the stuff that I've exposed now and just get that looking clean again. It's almost a perfect fit, but it's just a little too tight. Looks like the left side here kind of flares out. So I'm just going to have to hack that up a little bit and clean it up. Then I'll get this rail screwed down. Found a new snag with this rail, the 1U rail. I realized that the notch that I made for the power cord is right in the way of where the screws go to hold this bracket in place. So I'm going to fill this hole in here with a block of scrap wood, get it all trimmed out, just get it flush and smooth, and make a new notch on this side for the power cord. I took that scrap piece of wood, sanded it down to get it to fit inside this space here. Then I just cut out the piece on the bandsaw that I'm going to glue in here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and glue it in. All right, I've got the wood filled in here and notched out here. So all I need to do is add some touch-up black India ink. Well, it's pretty tight getting the screws, these stubby little screws, into the brackets for this 1U area here. And it definitely helps to have a long screwdriver to try to get as low as possible, but it's still pretty tough. The screws that I had used previously as my hold downs on the ends, which I no longer need because I've gone ahead and just screwed the main brackets to the case, happen to perfectly fit in the power supply screw holes, which is nice because they're very small and they're long enough to actually hold the power supply down. Well, the last upgrade I wanted to make is to take some of this Velcro tape and screw down a section of it to each corner. And that way I can have some permanent cable tie downs. So that's next. Well, I wasn't paying attention when I was screwing in the 1U rails, and I ended up with them much lower. This is like a 1/4 inch here and about an 1/8 inch on this side. So I'm going to take these out and put a glue block right where it should be, and I'm going to put some sawdust and wood glue in the screw holes and redo it. Yay! There's so many times when the only clamp that will work are these extended reach long arm clamps. Super handy. It's the only thing that would fit in here. I've got my new ledge here to make sure the rail stays at the right height, and I use my little mini drill to pre-start the holes for those screws, because those stubby little screws are really hard to get started. I went ahead and added some cable tie downs for the power cords here so that they're not flopping around on this end. I've got the 1U rack completely screwed in here. Now the whole thing is very solid and stable, which means there's only one thing left to do, and that is load this up with modules.